now. And we're going to make the cake. I actually need 360 mils of milk. So I'm going to measure that out quickly and then I'll show you exactly how to make this. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to unmute and you can ask me at any time. I wish you guys could taste this, I really do. Okay, so there's my milk for later. For the cake, I'm gonna show you how I make mine, but this is a base ingredient kind of cake. What I mean by that is you can use any flour you want. You don't have to use a specialty flour. If you want to use a regular self-raising flour, you can do that. I'm using coconut flour, and the dried fruit I'm choosing to use, I've got dried mulberries here. I bought these on buywholefoodonline.com. You could use apricots, you could use prunes, it would be delicious with prunes. Mulberries is just what I happen to have in my cupboard. I'm really going through the random things that I had in the past. So what I've put in here is, again, the theme is oats. I've got 250 grams worth of oats, coconut powder, coconut flour is in here, 100 grams of that. I've sifted that in. I've got a teaspoon of cinnamon. I've put some sea salt in, and I'm going to put some baking powder in as well at the last minute. So all of the dry ingredients just go into the one bowl. From there, I've got my wet bowl effectively. You want to put the wet ingredients mixed with the dry ingredients at the last moment. Make sure the oven is on and ready. I'm preheating that up to 200 degrees. You need 2 pears for this recipe, 2 bananas, ideally ripe ones. And by the way, this is like the pimped up version of the banana bread thing that's going on at the moment. You're going to want to put your 350 mils of milk in after having mashed the bananas. So first thing is peeling your bananas. If you have got loads of ripe bananas and you can't eat them quickly enough, yes, you can make a cake, but one thing I love doing is I'll peel them and I'll chop them, put them in a freezer bag, and just when I fancy something, I take a frozen piece of banana out, let it half defrost. It is the most delicious thing ever. If you're trying to be a little bit healthier as well, that works too. So we want to take a fork and we're going to mash this banana. As much as we can. These bananas aren't as ripe as I thought they were, but really get that nice and mashed. And you can get the kids to do this with you as well. You don't need a knife except for the pears. So you could leave children, keep them busy, home economics, food tech, making you your cake. The only sugar in this recipe is from the fruit, which is a natural sugar. It's nature's carb. And also we'll put in 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. So from there, I'm now going to crack in 1 egg. It's better if you can beat it separately. This is why I need my bowl. Get the egg separately, pop that in. Doesn't matter if the fork is a little bit dirty. Obviously, you want to make sure everything is fully mixed. Pop that in. You could add any flavouring here if you wanted. So you might pop some almond extract in. I've got some medicine flower extracts that I usually put in to put a bit of extra flavour. Because I'm presuming that some people won't have that, not necessary. Just leave it as it is, or I'm really, really enjoying putting zest into things. So today I've got orange zest. I'm just going to pop that in. This is left over from something I did before. And this will help bring out the flavour of the mulberries. If you wanted to, you could put lemon zest in. I wouldn't recommend putting grapefruit zest in. But orange is a really nice, different change. Any recipes that you're using lemon zest for, just ask yourself, would orange go with it? Because it can really excite things up a little bit more. If you've got a large zester, then you might actually need to chop the zest into smaller pieces. Right. Get that in there. So just to remind you of the quantities, it's 100 grams of coconut flour. You could use any flour you wanted. 250 grams of oats, ideally steel cut oats. Tablespoon or 2 of cinnamon. I put in 60 grams of dried fruit. My dried fruit was mulberries. And then in a separate bowl, we put in 360 grams of milk of choice. You could use a dairy milk if you wanted, not the chocolate kind. And 2 ripe bananas mashed first, just 1 egg beaten. And the egg I'm using is actually quite a small egg. It doesn't have to be a big egg. If it's big, then that's fine. Possibly some almond extract. And I'm going to pop in some maple syrup. 3 tablespoons worth. If you don't like things too sweet, then you can add less. Obviously, you've got some sweet flavour in there already from the bananas and from the dried fruit. And we just mix that all together. So the wet ingredients are ready. What we also need to do is we want to put a pear in there too. It's up to you if you want to core the pear. We need 2 pears for this recipe. I am going to core the pear because I want this to be nice and light. And then what I would do is with the waste is I'd actually use that in a juice later or in a blend, or I'd blend it and then I'd use my nut milk bag to strain it to make a juice out of that. Or you can just bin it. Like no one's going to judge you for binning the waste right now. This one is going to be chopped into pieces. So we just dice it into small chunks. You could keep them large if you wanted to. It depends what you prefer. And then with the other pear, what I'm actually going to do, so the chunks are going to go into the wet mixture and mix those round. With the other pear, what I'm actually going to do, again, is I core it and I'm going to make very, very thin slices. And this is what's going to decorate the top of it. I shouldn't really be showing where my knife scores. They're a little bit haphazard. The bits that aren't in nice slices, I'm going to dice these and I'm going to add them as extra into the mix. Lovely. And actually, if you can use the larger pear that you've got for the nice slices, because that always looks prettier. So this one I've got here is much longer or taller than the slice I've got. This would look a lot nicer on top of the cake. And then we'll get that nice finish once it's actually been cooked. So I'm going to pop those in. Let's just use these last little small bits here. And then the wet ingredients are ready to be mixed with the dry ingredients. From here, this is where you have to work quickly. So make sure that the oven is ready to take the cake. Make sure you've got your baking tin. I've got a silicone mold here. You can use a baking tin if you want. Now with a silicone mold, I don't have to line it with any greaseproof paper. Again, I'm a little bit lazy. I do a lot of raw food baking, so I have a lot of these. If you don't, it's not a problem at all. You could always, again, just line a greaseproof paper. If you've got anything smaller, things like these, they make beautiful little loaf-sized cakes. And then if you know you're the sort of person, if you make a whole cake, you're going to eat a whole cake. And if you make smaller ones, you're going to have a smaller portion. Now that we're going to add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, I'm going to put the baking powder in. So it's baking powder, not bicarbonate of soda. And you just want to put in maybe 1.5 teaspoons. I'm going to put in a little bit extra, 1.5 teaspoons. So that can go in. The reason that you wait to put the baking powder in and that you need to be ready with the oven before adding the wet ingredients is because we're about to activate the baking powder and we want that rising agent to work well. So we're going to pop it in, put in a little bit at a time, mix it all around. Try not to be too messy like me. Now it looks to me like that egg, I know I said I put one small egg in, might not have actually been enough, but we'll see. We're going to put the oat milk in as well, which I forgot, which is why it doesn't seem enough. So this can go here. And now the oat milk can catch all those last little bits of the eggy goodness that was sticking to the bowl. So this can go in, that's much better. And we're going to mix this in. If you've got a spatula, obviously, using a spatula instead of a fork. Someone bought this for me. I don't know what they were trying to tell me. So we're really going to incorporate everything. And it is this easy. Obviously, it seems like it's taking a long time because I'm talking you through it. Make sure you catch all of the dry ingredient that's at the bottom, so everything is well incorporated. And it will make like a cookie dough kind of texture. Remember, you can use any flour that you like. It doesn't have to be one of those unusual ones. You can actually make your own coconut flour too. I just had it in the cupboard left over from a retreat I did a while back. Actually, the boot of my car was full of dry ingredients from a retreat I was going to do as soon as I got back from India. And that hasn't happened, obviously. So now you can see it's like a lovely little cookie dough kind of thing going on. I'm going to pop this in. There's no drama about it. Just put it in, press it down. Now I could have put one in my little smaller sections and made a nice little loaf. The ones that are ready-made already, they were made in this square mould, and I just slice them into the rectangular pieces. So it doesn't have to be any particular shape. This is 8 inches square mould. So the quantities you get will be for an 8-inch tin, but it would be fine to use a bread pan as well. It'd be quite nice in that. Just maybe half the recipe. From here, where are my pears? So obviously I've just used the one pear, but I would encourage you to use both just for speed. What I'm going to do before I put the pear on is I'm going to kind of curve it and place it in. And that way there'll be a really nice shape when it's done. Curve it and place it in. This was a showstopper. When I got my mum to try it, she actually purposely pulled a horrible face because she didn't want me to post her happy face from the taste on social media.
No.
I just want to see your face. Just try it, please.
Right, I'm going to be truthful.
Yeah. It's really nice, isn't it? And I'm going to want to post it. Oh, do you not like it? Do you not like it? Are you joking?
I did that so it didn't tape it.
I thought you would. I'm definitely putting it up now. What do you think?
Victoria, stop doing that to me and take it off now. Don't put it up. Look at my
this is
hair.
not live. This
Look
is
at my
not live.
face.
I'm recording it. Okay.
I don't want to be recorded looking like a shitbag.
You don't look like a shitbag. What do you think?
When I'm feeling myself and looking good, you won't want to bloody tape me.
Okay, what do you think? It's really nice, isn't it?
Careful. Aiming for my crown.
It's really lovely. Right, so here it is, it's ready. It's going to go in to the oven for about 45 minutes, but keep an eye on it after 30 minutes. 200 degrees Celsius. If you've got a fan oven, then 180 degrees is probably going to be better. When it comes out, you can cut it into pieces, and this is what you will be left with. Have it as a cake if you wanted to on those nights when you really fancy something a little bit nicer. What I've been doing is taking some ice cream or some yogurt, something lovely. Or those frozen banana pieces. And making a bit of a sundae. So I just take my cake, I crumble it up into pieces. It just makes a different meal out of it, especially with the dried mulberries. It's delicious. You can use dairy yogurt, you can use any kind of yogurt you like, but we just layer the pieces. If you've got any kind of jam or even more dried fruit, you can put that on top. You could even put more fresh fruit. I'd recommend berries on top. And from one thing, oats as a base ingredient, you've basically got oat milk for breakfast or coffee or tea. You've got dessert and you've got, well, you could kind of have that for breakfast as well. You could get away with it, I think, and still call it healthy. And it's really, really affordable. Remember, you don't have to use dried mulberries. You can use any one you want. So that is, cheers. It looks a little bit like an alcoholic dessert, doesn't it? And I didn't use a whole cake for that one either, so you can share that. And if you struggle to get it to come out of the tin in one piece, you can still use the cake as a sundae.